Hi folks, and if you watched our last video, welcome back. This project has a special story behind it. After we got married, instead of spending the money on a honeymoon, we decided to invest in a wood-fired oven. I think it was pretty simple. We'd get years of enjoyment from an oven that we could share with family and friends rather than just a couple of weeks away on holiday. So in this video, I'll take you through the entire build from planning the site through to the finished oven you're looking at now. If you're thinking about building one yourself, we'll hopefully cover the good, the bad and the downright ugly from our build. This will give you some ideas, some inspiration, and maybe helps you avoid some of the mistakes we made along the way. Our plan was to gradually develop an outdoor entertaining area in the paddock behind our house. This is the simplified design of what we wanted, with a gated entrance to a raised bed garden, the wood-fired oven to the right, and eventually a covered deck area beyond that. After looking online at a number of manufacturers, we opted to go with the Melbourne Fire Brick Company. They have a few different DIY kit options, either precast or brick ovens. We opted for their D105 brick oven. One of the real positives we found with the company is their comprehensive level of support to help you through the build process. They have an extremely well documented set of instructions, a series of step-by-step videos, as well as provide email support for ad hoc questions when you think you've stuffed up. And we had several of those. Not long after placing our order, we received the notification to collect our crate. The crate is heavy, 1.2 tonnes. We had to hire a tandem trailer as our single axle wouldn't have coped with the weight. It also meant we had to unpack the crate contents from the trailer in order to unload it. Next, we had to build our foundation slab for the oven. Given the size and weight of the oven, the foundation needed to be pretty robust. We prepped it for a concrete pour with additional rebar reinforcing, lined up with where the main walls supporting the oven would be. We were lucky enough to be able to get the cement truck close to pour straight into the foundation, saving a lot of time and energy. Some of our pavers were less fortunate under the wheels of the cement truck. Foundation complete. Next came the construction of the oven base. And as with any physical activity, it's always wise to do some warming up beforehand. To help get us off to a good start, we were fortunate enough to have the help of our daughter's builder boyfriend, along with our son and a family friend. And as they say, many hands make light work. Ta-da! Time for a post-build debrief with Lucy the dog before finishing for the day. The following day's task was to fill the cores of all the blocks. This time it was just the wife and I, along with what seemed like a gazillion bags of quickcrete. But we finished before the day was out. Once that had had time to cure, next came the supports for all the formwork. The instructions gave two options for fixing these supports. We opted for the simpler 2-nail option, definitely simpler to install, not as simple to remove though. What we're doing here is preparing for pouring the suspended concrete slab that will support the oven. It's another concrete pour that needs a decent amount of reinforcement, so lots of rebar. Next we attached form ply to create the sides for the slab, working our way around the whole top. The bottom edge of the boxing needed to be sealed, ready for the pour. Pouring day, and we roped in our helpers again. This time we were mixing the concrete for the pour ourselves. I can't remember how many mixes we had to do, but it again felt like a lot. After some repeated troweling and leaving it for a while to cure, our finished tabletop. Although we vibrated the concrete to remove air pockets, we still ended up with one or two spots that could have been better, but they weren't bad enough to cause too much concern. Before starting the oven build, you have to cut some expansion lines in the concrete slab. All done. And here's wifey just checking it'll work once the oven's there. Finally, time to start on the oven build. early morning coffee before we get going. Part of the success of the oven is its ability to retain heat. This starts with the calcium silicate insulated base. The kit includes templates for you to cut the calcium silicate board to shape. The tin foil over the top prevents the board soaking up the moisture from the refractory castable pour, which is next. After the pour, another period of waiting for things to cure and dry out. Lucy still not showing much interest. Laying the oven floor bricks is relatively straightforward. You just need to make sure they're lined up correctly on the base. First of the bricks for the oven entrance, followed by the first row of bricks for the oven dome. The trammel tool in the picture also comes with the kit. This helps ensure all the bricks are laid at the correct angle as the dome progresses. One of the oven floor bricks has a pre-drilled hole in its centre, and the trammel tool slots into this hole, allowing it to pivot around the centre point of the oven. There are 3 different brick types, all of slightly different sizes and angles, and the instructions direct you as to which bricks to use when, including when to continue the bricks over the oven entrance. Gradually, you work your way to the top of the dome. The kit includes a fiberglass dome to support the keystone, and we use a car jack to keep it in place whilst the keystone is poured. After pouring, it's covered whilst it cures and dries. Meanwhile, farm life continued, including new arrivals among the alpacas. Next step is, in my opinion, arguably the ugliest part of the build, tidying up the pointing on the inside of the dome. Feeling somewhat claustrophobic and gradually heating up like a sauna, the inside of the oven is not a place you want to spend too long on a sunny afternoon. I'd like to think I tidied it up, but regardless, the top of the inside of the oven dome is not going to have many eyes on it. Once the inside pointing is done, the front arch can be laid. All the bricks used throughout the build get soaked in water before being mortared in. With the front arch in, the base of the chimney can be mortared in place. Extra mortar is smoothed behind the chimney to help the flow of rainwater away from the base of the chimney. Another opportune moment to pause for the day. The dome now gets 2 layers of insulation held in place with chicken wire. Before the dome receives its render, the landing at the front of the oven needs to be installed. We chose to use bricks left over from the dome build, as they supply you with more than you actually need. Each brick needed grinding down slightly to get it to the right height, so I numbered them just to make sure I kept them in the right order. The landing is granite, which gives a nice finish to the oven front and is also heat resistant. My wife did a better job with rendering the dome, so I left that job to her, for which there are 3 coats. With the flue installed, we were ready for the next stage. Curing fires are an essential part of the build. The key is to start small and over the course of a week, gradually increase the size of each fire to slowly dry everything out. If you have too big a fire too soon, you risk cracking the dome. For us, the first curing fire warranted some bubbles, though some seemed less impressed. Even though the initial fires need to be kept small, it's still possible to use the oven for cooking, so these fires can still be productive. For each new fire, the size of the initial build gets bigger, and the resulting fire temperature increases, until ultimately the fire is big enough and hot enough for the oven to be complete. For pizzas, you want that temperature on the stone floor to be over 400 degrees, and pizzas will cook within a minute or 2. As with our last video where we showed you our home-built Kisa, the wood-fired oven becomes another natural gathering spot with family and friends. Once all the curing fires are complete, the dome can be finally be painted. And given our oven is exposed to the elements, we also invested in a special weather shield cover to help protect the oven entrance from the rain when not in use. The oven now blends in alongside our raised bed garden and provides a focal point for summer nights too. Looking back, I think building our oven was one of the best decisions we could have made. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and check out our other projects.